Right, let's catch up on the latest from the campaign trail with our political editor, Mark Devenport. Mark, the elections have kind of been knocked out of the headlines this week, haven't they?
Absolutely. There's only been one E word making the headlines, politically speaking, this week, and it hasn't been election, it's been expenses, with MPs picking up the Daily Telegraph each day with trepidation, hoping their name doesn't feature in the headlines.
And it's come home to roost for one MP this week.
Yeah, who would have thought it? I mean, Lady Sylvia Herman has maintained her silence. She hates doing TV and radio interviews, but the expenses business flushed her out because she found she'd been wrongfully paid some rent. So she decided to give interviews, but actually in the course of that, she broke her long-term silence about the UUP-Tory link, and she was completely dismissive of it.
So what are the implications of that for Sir Reg MP?
Well, I mean, it's a big problem, I think, for both their Euro campaign and their long-term hope of getting together with David Cameron. We had one Conservative on the airwaves this morning pointing out that the people of North Down have now discovered that they voted in a socialist, as he termed it. I'm not sure that's necessarily the term for Blairite Labour, but that's what Lady Sylvia seems to be.
He has said today, Sir Reg, that there'll be no disciplinary action against Lady Herman. Will that be seen as weakness?
Well, I don't think he's got much choice since she is the only MP, but the big question will be what happens come the general election. Will she take the route of, say, Jim Kilfedder and all those other politicians in North Down, like Bob McCartney, who've gone it alone and got elected?
All right, you're in trouble again, this time with Sinn Féin.
They didn't like what I had to say last week about them starting slowly. They said I was simply looking in the wrong place, looking up into the air whilst they were tunnelling away on the ground, getting their posters out and building on their traditional strengths. But they're more comfortable, I think, on the ground than they are on the water. They showed that during the course of a photo shoot in North Belfast, where Martin McGuinness and Gerry Adams nearly had a Neil Kinnock moment. Remember, he nearly tumbled into the water in a previous election. Well, they very nearly did, and Gerry Adams got a very soggy right foot.
All right, the DUP launched their manifesto and they want to wield the axe.
Yes, and they had this picture of an axe coming down on local commissions. It was an axe buried into a tree stump. Peter Robinson said this was nothing personal. It wasn't what he wanted to do with Monica McWilliams, but he does want to merge her Human Rights Commission with a couple of others.
Body language was on the menu at a business hustings meeting.
Yes, this was an event that brought together all the 7 candidates, so there was a debate of sorts between them. Interestingly enough, though, Jim Allister, who in the poster that we've highlighted in recent weeks, actually wears some cufflinks that say guilty whilst pointing at his opponents. He wasn't too keen to get on the same photo opportunities as his opponents. He did take part in the debate, but not in the photos that preceded it.
Business is getting started earlier and earlier in this election, Mark.
A very worrying trend as far as I'm concerned. Some of the parties have been taking to having breakfast events. The DUP and the SDLP both did it. If it goes on like this, they're going to be disrupting me as I try to eat my cornflakes in my home in the mornings.
And last but not least, the Alliance Party. What's happening there?
Candidate launched this week for Ian Parsley. Let's say it again. It's Parsley, not Paisley. He must be sick of this joke by now. And instead he's been preaching the doctrine of fair trade rather than free Presbyterianism.
OK, Mark, until next week, thank you very much indeed.
Thank you.